All right, well, let's get started. Welcome to tonight's webinar, part of a national webinar series. And tonight, of course, we're doing a deep dive into BeAScout, managing leads, managing pins, following up on online applications. And we're super excited to have you here. My name is Darren Kinn. I'm the Director of Marketing for Scouting America. And we have a great team assembled tonight to take us on this deep dive. And so, hey, as we get started, let's answer the number one question right off the bat. Are you recording this? And the answer is absolutely. We sure are. And you'll be able to find the recording in the slides that we're going to use tonight here at this QR code. And of course, you can navigate right to that by going to scouting.org/recruitment. That's scouting.org/recruitment, or this QR code will get you there. You'll find the recording in a couple of days. So, okay, uh, as we get started, I'd like to do a quick introduction of a new team member, someone who has been on board just the last handful of weeks, but he is diving into things across the organization. And his name is Sean McGinnis. And Sean is the new EVP, Executive Vice President of Membership Engagement. And so, Sean, welcome aboard to the organization. Welcome to the webinar tonight. And do you have any opening words for us?
Darren, thank you. And firstly, thank you to all of you for being here. I can't be more thrilled. And I know just all about the incredible work you're doing, sometimes how difficult it is. I was with a group of sales folk this week, and I talked to them about a concept of the fizzle graph where we go up and down in our motivation. So we're here to help you. I'd like you, as you're going through the session tonight, to think about the last great service experience that you had. Did you remember what you bought, or the restaurant experience you had? Or did you remember how you were made to feel? The answer for me is almost always about the feeling. So remember that you, and we thank you for this, have the power to create that wow, that moment that people will remember. And we're here to help you make every touch point the most valuable, the most heard right from the start. So I'm going to throw it back to Darren. It's great to be with you this evening. Thank you so much again.
Well, thank you, Sean. Well said. And again, welcome aboard. And, look, before we go any further, I want to give a big shout out to the incomparable Mr. Ron Timmons, who is going to be managing the Q&A tonight. So just as a reminder, as we go throughout the session, if you've got questions, please enter those into the Q&A, and Ron will do his very best to answer those real time as we go. So, Ron, thank you very much. Okay, without further ado, let's bring on our expert who will help us do a deep dive into BeAScout. And of course, his name is Michael Cray. And Michael Cray is the director of the service delivery team within our IT group here at the office. And boy, he's an expert voice and is the knower of all related to these systems. So, Michael, with that, the floor is yours. Take it away, sir.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And I appreciate you guys taking the time today to learn a little bit more about BeAScout and how it can help your unit grow. I just wanted to throw this slide up here, and I have it on my last slide too, but that website address there, scouting.org/resources, is a great spot for you to go to find all the current material and existing videos and help aids that have been created for not only the BeAScout, but also for any online registration topics. So with that, let's kind of move in and start. And as Vince Lombardi would say, this is a football. This is BeAScout. This is the site that is available for all parents in our organization to go to. I think the marketing material that Darren and his team have been putting out all point people to this site. All they need to do is enter in a zip code, and it will bring up what information your pack or troop has placed there. And I'm going to spend a few minutes here kind of going over how you manage that. So inside My.Scouting, there's a section called Organization Manager. If you have the correct leadership role, if you're a Key 3 member of your unit, Cub Master, Committee Chair, Chartered Org Rep, or a Key 3 delegate, units can grant that access to additional members of the committee. You have access to Organization Manager, and there's some areas and settings in here I wanted to make sure you are aware of. You may not be. So the first is that Settings tab, as you can see. This is a spot where you can, up top, you can see there's some payment information if your unit's saved a credit card or a e-check to do the renewal payments. But there's also the ability to select who has the ability to accept applications, or you can offer that to just a chartered org or the committee chair recommendation and chartered or approval. Also, you have the ability to say whether you're going to allow youth applications to appear on BeAScout. Your unit does have the ability to turn that off if need be. And then the option for setting whether adults are allowed is controlled by the council. And you may wonder why that's set up that way. We have a few states in the country that have very specific youth protection and safeguarding requirements way above and beyond what Scouting America provides. And so some of those are just so complicated that only paper applications can be taken for adults. And then the type of unit can be set, whether it's in this case, this is a Cub Pack sample, so you can see it could be a girl unit, a boy unit, or a boy and girl unit. So that's under the Setting tab. And then you scroll down a little bit more, and there's email settings. And this is an area that a lot of units may not know exists. So you have the ability to include your fees in the email that goes out to the parents after they sign up. And you also have the ability to edit that welcome email. Now, we'll talk about putting fees on the BeAScout site in a second, but I wanted you to know that there is an email that goes out within seconds after somebody signs up through BeAScout. This allows you to have the ability to edit that and add specific information. So this Cub Pack in Michigan, it makes sure it tells where the meeting is, when the meeting is, the address, what day of the month, all that kind of information. And again, if you make any changes on this page, this little button down at the bottom that says save will be blue, and you can click on that and make that edit. So that's the settings part of Organization Manager, specifically for BeAScout. So then Unit Pin is probably the site you're more familiar with. Unit Pin allows you to customize what's shown in BeAScout, and we call it pin because of the map pin, which we'll see in a second. So that you have the ability to set the pin mode. This unit says allow units to or this council has it set so you allow units to update the pin. I think almost everybody has that. Has the ability for the unit to appear on BeAScout or not. We know that there are specific kinds of units around the country that may be institutionalized or only serves in-school youth or something like that. So we do have the ability to take that unit off of the BeAScout site. So when parents go looking for units, they're only getting an active unit or a unit that they can join. And then also there is a switch that allows you to turn off the ability to apply online. And you may see that if you're surfing around BeAScout, some units just have the information button and not the apply button. The contact information is maybe the most important to make sure it's current, and you can see that can be edited. It could be changed, daily if that was important to you. But when you hear Scouting America talk about update your pin, this is the time to update your pin. These are the kinds of things you want to make sure are fresh. It's not the den leader or cub master that was handling membership 2 years ago. It's the current person. If the unit has a website or a Facebook page or something like that, that can be placed in there, and then that will show on the BeAScout page also. And then there's a block of additional text that can be added. And right now today, this block of additional text is the best spot if you want to include information like we meet Tuesday in the basement at the United Methodist Church, and our fee is $20 a month in addition to the national registration, anything like that. This is a custom spot that will appear on BeAScout just for your unit when you fill that out. Over on the right-hand side, you can kind of see how it will appear in the top section there. And then at the bottom, there's some toggles again to set. We don't want the phone number displayed, but we're okay with the email address. All that kind of setting that can be set right there. And again, there's going to be a save button down at the bottom. So let's move on to the pin itself. I put this red arrow on here just to draw attention to it. But the address of the meeting location is entered here. It defaults to your chartered organization, but I know my sons were involved in units that were chartered by the Lions Club, but met at a school and things like that. So that setting is very important if you want to help the parents realize where your meetings actually are. So you can go in there again, you can see you can edit it, and then it'll show on the map. We use Google Maps, uh, determining the latitude and longitude to place the pin. If ever you find out that your pin is wandered off somewhere, it happens for some reason, thanks to Google Maps, all you have to do is come in here and change the zip code, save it, come back, change the zip code, save it, and it'll reset itself. Uh, it used to be a bigger problem, but I would imagine out of 40,000 units, we still have a few where the pin just wanders to the wrong location. This is a spot how you can edit it. And again, at the bottom of the page, you'll have that save option, and you want to click on that, and then it'll update it. So now we're going to look into BeAScout. This is that unit's posting for that we were just looking at the organization manager settings. And you can see that it shows the contact in the email because they had the phone number toggle turned off, but it gives that contact information. And then it shows that it's a boy and girl pack. And it does allow online registration. The little blurb that they had, that custom box I talked about, shows here. And then there's two options, the option for more information and the option for apply now. More information is where leads come from. And we'll talk a little bit more about managing leads in a little bit, but that is the probably 85 to 90% of all leads that you get emails about for your unit come from somebody clicking on that more information. We are looking at, it's not going to help this year, but we're looking at the most likely questions that are asked. And then we're going to probably modify BeAScout for next year to include that information, that fields you'll be able to fill in, just like we looked at the ability for you to put in contact information and that kind of stuff. So there are continually improving things. So we zoom in, and as I said, there's two kind of actions for the parent to take at this point. They can ask for more information. Typically, it's what's the dues, or do you take girls or whatever, even though a lot of units are telling some of that information up front. Or the parent's going to go to the apply now. So let's look at the leads option first. The first question when somebody goes to ask for a lead, and this comes into Invitation Manager, is if they're over 18 or not, because we don't interact with people that are under the age of 18. And then we give the privacy policy of Scouting America right up front, so they're aware of that. The next piece, when you click on that and say, yes, I'm over 18, we're going to gather the parents or the child's information, and we need to know the age and we need to know the grade so we can figure out if they're really applying for Cub Scouts or Scouts BSA or venturing or other programs. And then the address, and then there's this, how did you hear about us? And we asked, and they kind of got to fill something in there. And then there's a block under there that you can't see that says questions or comments. And that's typically where that question comes in. You have visibility to all of that in the My.Scouting invitation manager, which we'll look at in a couple minutes. So that's the path for a lead or more information or an invitation, as we call it. The other button takes you to online registration. And online registration has kind of two channels also. Generally speaking, it's the youth and adult. Some programs like Venturing might have a participant for those youth that are 18 to 20. But the parent will then click on what who they want to register and go through the registration process. I'm not going to demonstrate that for you today, but I can tell you it's pretty much 3 steps. We gather the youth information, just the mandatory that's required. We gather the parent information. Again, it's just the mandatory required because every youth member has some kind of parent or guardian relationship. It's part of our organization. And then there's a payment screen. So if the parent has their credit card and they know their address and they know their child's age, it's probably a 5 or 6 minute process, maybe a little longer on a phone, but the phone process has been improved over the last couple of years if you're familiar with that. So now we've either entered a lead or an invitation information, or we've entered an application. So the parent's responsibility kind of ends at that point, and now it's back on the unit leadership for you to determine, are you going to answer those leads, which we really encourage everybody to do within 24 hours or so, or process the application if it's required, and we'll talk about that. One of the biggest complaints we get from parents that don't join the organization but have shown interest in it is that they inquire, they send information, and then nobody ever gets back to them, or they don't get back to them for a month. And if you think your customer experience, like Sean was talking about, if you said, gee, I'm interested in buying a car, and that car dealer didn't get back to you in a fairly timely manner, you're going to move on to something else, another car dealer or something like that. Well, the same we think applies for some people that want to join scouting. So think about the ability to reply back to somebody that sends in a lead within 24 or 48 hours. We understand, obviously, you've got other things to do. So this page is the invitation manager page. We're back in My.Scouting. Almost everybody, well, that's not true. All the key 3 members, the new member coordinator, the key 3 delegates, all have access to application manager and invitation manager. So this isn't solely laying on the unit leader or committee chair's responsibility. This is a sample again of that same pack we were looking at. They've had 1 lead in the last 30 days. It's still open. And there's a little dial there that shows you, how old it is, and you can see the status, because some of you are going to get, multiple leads a week and such. I also wanted to make sure you were aware that this is where the QR code is, or what we call the mini URL, or that link, invitation link. That's where you go to get that. If you're going to you want to put a link directly to your BeAScout online registration page in a flyer or in an email or a poster, or however you're going to promote your unit. So every unit has this, they're unique QR codes or unique mini URLs. You can use that to promote your unit and send them to the sign up. That's Invitation Manager. We're going to go to Application Manager, I think, next. And it looks very similar, but you can see it's a different tab in my.scouting. And in this unit, you can see there's no pending applications or need to check this. So one of the areas that we have to do is all adult applications have to be accepted by the unit. A couple of reasons. Obviously, adults are selected and approved by the chartered organization. So that is one reason. But the other reason is that adult needs to be given a position. So if I sign up at a school roundup tonight with my child and I volunteer to be a den leader, when I fill out my online application, the den leader position has to be given to me. As a new parent or somebody applying, I don't have the ability to select what position I get. The unit does that. And the chartered organization or their delegate have to do that approval and acceptance. Now there's steps, I think, as you all know, for adult applications. There's the safeguard youth training that has to be completed. And there's also the criminal background check that has to be completed before that adult is allowed to become an active functioning volunteer in scouting. And during that period of time, those adults remain in that pending status. So that part of application manager kind of builds up in the next couple of months as more adults are recruited to your unit. But again, an eye needs to be kept on that. There's emails that go out twice a week to the unit key 3, as you all know. So that's a reminder that you have somebody that needs to be looked at because they're pending their application. I wanted to touch base about what kind of reports are also available. And if you've never wandered over to this part of the my.scouting, you might look at that. But you can look up and see which applications are in progress or which ones are closed, where they've completed or quit. There's also completed applications, so you can get a list of all the people that have finished an application. There's a series of reports in the invitations or leads where you can pull up pending leads that give you status and date and all the contact information. So there's a whole group of reports supporting application manager and invitation manager. Again, that's found in my.scouting in that application or invitation tab. I wanted to give you a council view of what that also looks like, just because it is kind of a robust system. This is the Michigan Council, again, the council that pack is in. And you can see as of a couple days ago, they had about 1,200 applications in the last 90 days. You can see the timing on them, how many are pending, and such. So obviously, the Michigan Council does a pretty good job of making sure everybody's moving along, that there's not a lot of adult applications pending at this point. There's also that council view for invitations or leads. And again, you can see how many new leads, how many are open, the age of active lead cycle. And obviously, this is a great thing that over 50% of those are completed, which means they've either become members or they've gone to a status where they're closed because their questions were answered and they've moved on. If you're active at a district level, there's also these kinds of dashboards at that district level also. So what I didn't show you, because those units really didn't have a lot of detail to look at, this is again I think the council look, but it's the same. Every unit, if they have applications pending, you can see it's lists all of them right at the bottom half of that web page we were looking at. The little icon on the left side that tells you whether it's an adult or a youth based on what kind of hat they're wearing, whether they have a campaign hat on or a ball cap. And then there's more information, the status, how old that status is. I sorted it so these are overall one day old. Um, and then any other information, the safeguard youth training, you can see with those 3 adults on here. 2 have taken it, 1 hasn't yet. The gender, whether it's a transfer or not, because units have to accept transfers in too. And so that shows here. And then the district and the unit, obviously, that's not that important at the unit level. But I wanted you to be aware that that kind of detail exists. So when you start getting a lot of invitations or a lot of applications, that'll show. And then each line has this amount of detail. If you click on it, it'll open up and then give you additional information. Plus, over on the upper right-hand side, there's notes. And it's kind of like a CRM. It kind of manages that person. If somebody applied to a pack and the pack isn't taking new members for whatever reason, it can be reassigned to the district. The district can assign it to another Cub pack. All of those transactions would be shown here. If the unit sent an email to the new adult saying your application is pending until we get your youth protection training information, that would show here. So there's a lot of detail that's going to support the processing of your applications or invitations. This is a blank slide, so we're almost done. So I wanted to then bring back, as I told you, that scouting.org/resources/unit and membership renewal information. That kind of gives you the 101 overview of BeAScout, how it relates to online applications, how it relates to leads, and also the management of that at the unit level. Darren, back to you.
Well, thank you, Michael. Wow, that was great information, certainly a deep dive. And so I want to remind everyone that within a couple of days, you'll be able to find this webinar posted and these slides to scouting.org/recruitment. Again, that's scouting.org/recruitment for your reference. And thank you, Michael, for this great info and helping us navigate pins and leads and online applications and all those things. And so now I'd love to bring Sean McGinnis back on screen. Sean, again, is our EVP of Membership Engagement. Wow, Sean, that was great info, wasn't it?
Oh, it was absolutely fantastic. And thank you so much, Ron, and to all of you who've put questions in the Q&A. If you're not getting the kind of answers that you need to really get practically, please reach out to any of us. Whether it's Mike, one of the members of the team, or Ron. It's really important that we make sure that you functionally can use this tool. And if you're struggling with it, if you're technologically challenged like I am, please reach out, because it's so important that we don't drop any of these fantastic leads and interests. So that's going to be great. But open to Q&A, Darren. What do we want to do next?
Yeah, so I think Ron has been answering questions in the Q&A, and of
Yes.
course, again, we will post these questions and the answers along with the slides and the video recording at scouting.org/recruitment within a couple of days. So folks will be able to read the questions, see the answers, refer to these materials, and I think that's a great way to handle that. And likely we're going to need Michael Cray's input as well on some of those answers, just to really get the fine details of the technical nature of this. So thanks everyone participating in the webinar. Yep, go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I have one more thing, just another thank you for you. And I was reflecting before jumping on this call, just how important you as our volunteers are. And to every one of us in national and also at the council level, you're our heroes. And I'm a big quote guy, and back in the day, there was this amazing woman by the name of Irma Bombeck. You should Google her. She was a humorist. She was fantastic. But she had this wonderful quote about volunteers that I want to leave you with before Darren says goodbye. But it says, volunteers are the only human beings on the face of the earth who reflect this nation's compassion, unselfish caring, patience, and just plain loving one another. We love you, and you're our heroes, and thank you for all you're doing.
Sean, well said, and what a great quote. And that is so true. We thank you for all you do, not only your time tonight, but for everything you do in scouting. So, with that, we're going to wrap the call. We wish you a great evening and a fantastic holiday weekend. Good night, everyone.